Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm back with another knife review. Today we are looking at the Protech Invictus Auto, and this is the PDW or Prometheus Design Works version of the Protech Auto. Before we get started, wrist check. Today I'm wearing an Aries. This is the triple aught design version of their mission timer. Love this watch. It's actually one of my favorites, but unfortunately, Aries customer service absolutely sucks. So they're kind of on a downward spiral. But I was able to pick one up that Triple Out Design put out, and unfortunately, it's one of my favorite watches. We're gonna jump right into it. With this Protech, the details, it has a 154 cm steel blade. It's sporting aluminum handles. It has a spear point blade that's saber ground. One of the things I will say is I do love this blade shape. In my experience or my normal EDC tasks, I don't really need anything that's super stabby, and I really have grown to love this blade shape. I also have a mini Invictus. This one's made by Terrain 365, but again, same blade shape. You got the fuller up front on the blade as well as some on the back. So I really do love this blade shape, and probably just personal preference. I really couldn't tell you why I like it so much, but it really it serves me well, and it always catches my eye when knives sport that shape. More of the details on this one. It does have a 3.47-inch blade. So again, we're over the 3-inch mark. I don't have an exact weight of this, but it does have aluminum handles, which makes this very lightweight. I have carried this a little bit, not too much, but it does have a really nice pocket profile. Didn't really notice it as far as these knives go, or knives this size. It is very lightweight for what it is. It also is a button lock, so again, push button auto. We'll get to that in a little bit. The MSRP on this, from what I could find, there isn't anywhere that has these in stock, but they usually go for about $250 to $275. So I think for what the knife is, again, it's not M390 or anything crazy. It is running 154 cm. It is a push button auto. I think the price on this thing is pretty fair. All right, I'm going to quickly go through the pros of this knife all in one shot. As I already covered, I really do like the blade shape. I think that's awesome, but the design in general, like, this is a very smooth looking knife. Like, you can tell that thought went into it. It's not just a parts box knife. I like that the handle, the fullers in the handle match the fuller on the blade. The push button, which this is actually G10, I had to look that up. I wasn't sure, but it's red. I don't know. I could take it or leave it. It might be a little bit ostentatious, or kind of, make this thing look like it's dangerous or something, but it is what it is. I think it's cool. It's kind of a nice accent piece. And then, you have this like aluminum safety here, which I'll get into that in a minute. But overall, I really do like the design of it. I'm a huge jimping guy. The jimping on this Protech is surprisingly adequate. I really like the location of it for my hand size. It does have a choil on it, which I did test out. A little bit different from the Ultramar that I recently tested. This one actually would be usable. I would be able to do some fine work without being worried about cutting my finger on the blade. So that's really nice. So yeah, definitely love the design of this. There aren't any, depending on what grip I was holding it in, there aren't any hot spots. The pocket clip is really nice, albeit very long, but it is a deep carry clip, but it doesn't go past the back of the knife, which I really like. Also, the balance, that was another thing that I wanted to quickly cover. This is a really well balanced knife. So the center of gravity, or the balance point, is right where your pointer finger would grip the knife. So that's really nice. It doesn't, it's not all blade or all handle. I think sometimes in auto knives, depending on how they do the blade or the handle, like for instance, I think the Microtech LUDT is one of those off balance knives that when you fire it, you feel like you're gonna lose it in your hand. But this one has enough girth in the handle and the blade isn't too heavy, the stock isn't, too thick where, you feel like you're going to lose this thing. As far as an auto goes, this is probably the most comfortable one to actuate, so that's really nice. All right, going into the cons for this knife based on my experience. I think one of the major cons or the beefs that I have with this knife, it's not actually this knife itself. It's more about the whole thing surrounding push button autos. Like, actually, when I was looking up some of the details on this knife, there's a huge disclaimer like, LE only, this is illegal in all these states, whatever. I think like that was cool when I was in high school to be like, oh man, I got a push button auto. Again, I grew up in New York, so it was kind of like a cool thing. Like, ooh, you're not even supposed to have these. But, the more knives that I experience and buy, like, I don't, like, I really do feel like push button autos are antiquated in design, that there's, whether it's a flipper or what, like, knives are so good now that this kind of like gimmicky, like, oh, push button auto, it flies out, like, to me, that's just, it's more moving parts that could fail you. Maybe it's just with old age, but I don't know. Push button autos definitely don't pique my interest like they used to. Like, I don't think that they're that cool anymore. And, kind of to further punctuate that, I was looking, the safety that they put on here, which is like, oh man, this knife has a safety so it won't fire when you're whatever. I couldn't tell you, like, I don't remember whether this thing's on or off, it's gonna fire, it's not, like, if anything, like, I mean, people would make the argument, oh, it's a push button auto, so you don't have to flick your wrist or whatever. To be honest with you, if I had to get this thing out in a hurry, I'd probably forget that the safety was on and I would be in trouble either way. So, kind of an interesting take on it, I think, and just that, like, there is a little bit of love lost with push button autos. Like, I don't know. Like right now, I forgot that the safety was on. Like, oh, there we go. So, just something to think about when you look at a knife like this. The last thing I wanted to talk about with this knife in terms of, kind of what I posed in my last video with the Chavez, and, what I want to do is look at a knife from a totality standpoint. Like, if you had one knife, would this be the one? And I do think, I mean, looking at, the salient characteristics of this knife, this could be your only knife. However, it never would be. Like, if you think about a knife like this, that's, first of all, Protech, whatever, that's a pretty popular brand. But then you look at PDW, then you look at this model, like, there's no way someone would just, like, stumble across this knife by happenstance, right? Like, the people that own this knife, it is not their only knife. Could it be? Yes, but there's no way someone was just like, yeah, I walked into a knife shop, I was like, I want one knife, this is the one that I got. Like, no one is doing that. No one has ever done that. I can almost guarantee it. So, I think that this could be your only knife, but that's impossible because you wouldn't know about this knife unless you knew about knives, and you would have a different knife, multiple knives. So with that, it doesn't really fit the bill for that, but I think that it could. Again, I'm trying to keep this one like a little bit nice. Actually, when I purchased this knife, I thought, oh, like, I love PDW, I love Terrain 365, like, I'm gonna start collecting PDW knives. And then, I don't know, I kind of got a little bored, to be honest with you. So I want to keep this thing in really good shape, realizing that it is aluminum, more prone to scratches, etc. It is painted aluminum, so something that I'm keeping in the back of my mind. But yeah, I mean, I definitely would love to know your all's thoughts on this thing. Does anyone own one? I know, there is quite a Protech following, and they put out great knives, but as far as the one knife to rule them all, I don't think this is it. And I do think, like, I would be really interested in this knife, and maybe they even make it, to be honest with you. The thought just came to me. If they made one of these that was a liner lock and not a push button auto, I would definitely be more into it. When I bought this, I didn't think about it, but now that I am, like, I think I'm just over push button autos, like the whole LUDT thing, the whole, oh man, this knife was made for LE, military only. Nobody in the military is carrying this. I guarantee you can't find a police officer that's carrying this. Like, I don't know. We just need to stop with that. Like, it's a design. It doesn't make this thing any more dangerous than any other knife. If anything, it'll probably fail more than your, liner locks or, compression locks, etc. So, I kind of want to get rid of that stigma with this. But yeah, please, any comments, questions, throw them in the comments. But just trying to knock out all of my knives that I own. I'm trying to do reviews on them. So appreciate everyone's feedback, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.